ladies and gents, welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, put it on all so you can get notified straight away as soon as any new content drops on the channel. So without further ado, let's get into this video right here. So over the weekend, a couple of days ago now, Saturday night, we had the Grudge match between Eubank Jr. and Liam Williams. There was a lot of needle. There was a lot of bad blood going into this fight. The gloves are off was a bit subdued, but yeah, you could see that both guys don't like each other. And going into this fight, both guys intended to do serious damage. Now, how the fight turned out was Eubank Jr. winning by unanimous decision. It was what you could call a sort of strange performance because Eubank elected to box this fight, and I mean really just box, and a lot of what he was doing was based on movement. From the first bell, he was very cagey. Both guys were a bit cagey, you know, Williams employing a little bit of the Adam Booth style, but still putting pressure on Eubank. He done quite well in the first round, did Williams, but then right towards the end of the round, he comes forwards, tries to set up an attack against Eubank. Eubank pops out what looks like a jab, I think it was a jab, just bam, and there you go, Williams is down. So that was a bit of a shock for, I think, a lot of people in the audience, a bit of a shock to myself. I thought Eubank would win, but to be that successful that early, to get knocked down that early, I didn't see that coming. And it was a shock that seemed to shake Williams up a little bit, but he got up, he was fine, managed to sort of finish the round. As the fight wore on, the pattern of the fight was a lot of the same stuff. Eubank Jr. was just using this movement a lot, sticking his hands out a lot, and you could see that one of the main things in this fight was that Eubank Jr. was sort of successfully able to deceive Williams in many ways. He was able to, the way he was boxing and throwing his shots a lot of the time, you could tell that Williams was unable to read what he was doing. He was unable to tell what was coming. And you can tell that with the knockdowns, they were just sharp shots, you know, that just landed. And every one of these, there was like 4 knockdowns in total, but those first 3, they come off of these nice sort of short shots that Eubank threw. And it seemed like the speed of Eubank throughout this fight was a bit too much for Liam Williams, as he could just never see it coming. And a lot of people are questioning the punch resistance of Liam Williams, which I think could be a factor, as he was put down by shots that just looked a bit nonchalant. To his credit though, although he was put down, even after he was put down like 3 times, he did sort of stay in the fight, he did sort of remain in it, he never really stopped chasing after Eubank. But the problem was, I think there was that, as they say, many people say this thing of there's levels to this, there's levels to boxing, and this fight really demonstrated that Eubank Jr. is on a higher plane, on a higher level than Liam Williams, because Williams was, as game as he was just unable to close the gap. He was unable to cut the ring off, because Eubank Jr. was pretty much just moving in the same direction all the time. He was just circling around in one direction. I guess it would have been, I think, to his left or something like that. I can't remember whether it's left or right, but he was literally just circling around in the same direction more or less throughout the whole fight. And Liam Williams, one of the key factors that led to him losing this was he was unable to step to the other side and cut Eubank off. Because most of the time where he did sort of get inside on Eubank was clever. He just held on to him sometimes, just got too close to him where Williams couldn't work. And this was one where, you know, Eubank really sort of made this fight his own. he just used boxing skills throughout the whole thing. It was just held. Williams was just at bay, just struggling to get in. And Eubank, although this fight was tactically, many people didn't like it because obviously we want to see action, we want to see blood. But Eubank, to his credit, he did have things all his own way. So although you can criticize his performance, and I do, because I think that the element that was missing from this fight was that those times when he did put Williams down, when he did have him hurt and you could see Williams was really shaken, Eubank always allowed Williams to get back into the fight. And I feel that that was a bit of a mistake, because Williams can punch a bit too, and by you letting him back in the fight after you've hurt him, you're giving him that chance again now to hit you. And what if he hits you and hurts you and you go down or something like that? So I felt that was the element that was missing. But Williams, I mean, in his favour, what he done well in his fight was, I would say, the heart. He never gave up on his fight. In spite of the knockdowns, I would say he definitely won a couple of the mid to late rounds, because Eubank was doing a lot of coasting, and then Williams would be the guy who would sort of land the more significant punches, and in certain rounds, not every round, but there were certain rounds where that was the case. And as we got into those championship rounds, it was more of the same. Eubank dancing, moving, just sticking out a jab. Williams unable to hit him, Williams unable to close him down and really get to him. So as we come into the last few rounds, round 11 is when it just went all over for Liam Williams, where he was basically pushed down. Eubank lands a punch, and in the middle of this kind of, he was trying to throw a flurry or whatever, and I think he sort of tried to hit him, and he ended up pushing Williams down with his right hand, if I remember correctly. That happens. It clearly wasn't a knockdown, but it was counted as a knockdown, so there you go. That's another 2-point deficit for Liam Williams in round 11. Round 12, he needed to put it all on the line, but once again, Chris Eubank Jr. used his dancing tactics, his movement and everything, and he just stayed out of Williams' way. He boxed the way that it reminded me of the way that a lot of these Cuban amateurs used to back in the day. They would know they were ahead on points in, like, when it was 4-2s in the amateurs. They know they were ahead in by the last round, and because they had to box a few times in a day, they'd literally just coast for the last round of the fight because they knew they had it in the bag. And that's what Chris Eubank Jr. did. He just knew he was ahead in the fight, coasted for that last round, and just done the bare minimum. I think that was kind of the story of this whole fight, that Eubank got ahead, got the knockdowns he needed, got so far ahead that it was an unassailable lead he had, and he was satisfied to just coast. And I think that's the thing, the big criticism I could say about him, that yes, he won the fight, and yes, he won it so clearly. He got all the knockdowns he needed, and the only thing you can criticize is that he should have stopped Williams, really, because he did have Williams hurt. He did have Williams stunned several points in this fight, and it seemed that the Williams was there to be taken out. Many have speculated about Williams' punch resistance, which it looked to be waning in this fight. But yeah, for Eubanks, I think it was overall, you can say, good, because he won it, and he won it so clearly. But there's one box he needed to tick, which was finish your food. When you got a guy hurt, when you've got a guy reeling and a guy that's wobbled by you and you've hurt him, you got to try and take him out. Even if you don't take him out, you got to try at least and take him out. And I think for me, and for most of the public, most of the people who watched it, that was what the criticism was. I don't think it was disgusting performance or terrible performance. I think it was dominant in the sense that it was a landslide victory, but it was one of those where, he could have just stepped on the gas at some point and just tried to take Williams out. I guess he might have been thinking, well, it's a bit of a risk for me to do that. Williams punches hard too, so me doing that is a risk, but I don't know. I don't know what was in his mind. But anyway, congratulations to Chris Eubank Jr. for winning the fight very widely, very clearly, unanimously on the cards. That was, my prediction going into it, but I didn't see the fight being as it was. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on the fight. What do you think about Eubank Jr.'s win and how he won, and were you disappointed in his performance at all? What do you think of Williams, his punch resistance? Let me know your comments, your thoughts in the comment section below. And until next time, it's NKO Pugilism over and out.